On June 14th, Republican voters in Maine's 2nd congressional district will choose a candidate to challenge the Democrat incumbent Jared Golden in the fall. There are two candidates, former Congressman Bruce Poliquin and Liz Caruso, who have served more than 15 years on the select board in the town of Caratunk.
As we do every election cycle, we invited both candidates to take part in a Voice of the Voter forum. Caruso said yes, but Poliquin declined. He's actually not faced off against Caruso at all in this campaign so far. So we wanted to give Liz Caruso a chance to talk about her ideas and priorities.
She sat down with News Center Maine's Pat Callahan yesterday.
Well, let me begin with the simplest question, I think. Why do you think you'd be a better choice than Bruce Poliquin to be able to defeat the Democratic incumbent Jared Golden?
Sure. Well, I am rural Maine, so I'm a small business owner from the Maine tourism industry. I've been a registered Maine guide for the last 30 years. I'm a wife, 20 years, and I'm a homeschool mom of two great teenage boys. And for the last 16 years, I have been the first selectman of the town of Caratunk. So I really understand rural Maine, local government, the issues that Mainers face with. And I've been standing with grassroots Mainers for years. And they really want someone who they can identify with. Sending someone who's part of the establishment down to DC is not going to bring real change. Mainers are looking for a real voice that will speak up for them and is not afraid.
One of the issues Congress has been dealing with right now and will continue to do so is the woman's right to choose an abortion. Many are saying leave that to the states, but some have said if Republicans control Congress, they might pass a nationwide ban. Is that something you would support?
Well, I think that's speculative. I mean, if Roe versus Wade were overturned in the Supreme Court, then it would go down back to the states, and that's really where it should be determined. And personally, I am 100% pro-life. I absolutely value every life. I value life from the womb to the very last breath. And I believe that, we need to be a voice for the voiceless and to defend the defenseless and make sure that every innocent life has the opportunity to be all that they can be.
You first got on a lot of people's radar with your opposition to the Central Maine Power Transmission Corridor. In Washington, what kind of energy policies would you pursue? Is offshore wind part of that?
Sure. Well, I believe in a diversification of energy. I believe in the opening up of U.S. national oil and gas. I believe that we shouldn't be purchasing oil from foreign countries and countries that have holidays where they shout death to America. I believe that we are very good stewards of our natural resources. I believe in wind, solar, as well as fossil fuels and natural gas and nuclear. Do I believe that we should be threatening Maine's fishing and lobster industries? No, I don't.
What else, is there another way you can help protect that industry, because they've been under threat with regulations from, for example, protecting right whales? Right. And the delegation and the governor have been pretty vocal about trying to push that back. How could you help with that effort?
Well, we have to stop the federal government overreach and overregulation. I was just over in Deer Isle last week and spoke with the lobster industry. They are very good stewards of the land, or of the waters, and they work hard. And we need to protect Maine's industry. I mean, lobster, lighthouses, these are icons of Maine. And this is real livelihoods. The government shouldn't be interfering with the very lifeblood of our Maine communities, of our generations, of families. This isn't a game. These are people's lives. And we need to have a delegate that's down in DC that will recognize that will be one of a core Maine group and be a voice for them down in DC, where obviously they are out of touch with what real life is for real Mainers. In
talking about promoting job growth and economic development for Maine as a whole, what can Congress do? Are there a couple of ideas you have that we could change this and Maine would be better off for it?
Well, like I said, stop the government overreach, let businesses do what they do. The very foundation of the United States is that we have American ingenuity, hard work, great natural resources. Let business owners do what they do. Make it so that it is easier for them to employ more people. We need to stop we need to stop paying able-bodied Americans to stay home. Let's put people back to work. And I really think
Do you believe that's happening? That people are being paid to stay home?
I do. There's a lot of incentive for people to be paid to stay home. You know, I've been traveling the state and I speak with a lot of business owners. They have job fairs where people aren't attending. We all know of places where businesses are closing early because they don't have enough workers. We need to restore the Maine work ethic. We need to make sure that our children, when they graduate from school, are equipped to be successful and have prosperous careers. And that starts with training them, you know, in the trades, in technical and vocational programs. They're our future. So I think we need to put a lot more emphasis on that.
Do you support the current U.S. policy on providing humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine at the level we've been doing?
Yeah. You know, it is absolutely tragic what's happened with Ukraine, and my heart goes out to those people, to the innocent people that are struggling, and I, you know, believe in that. However, we can't be funding another nation. We can't be funding, you know, another nation's government when our own situation here in the United States is tragic. We have our own problems in this country that need to be addressed. We have formula that is not on the shelves. We have food, you know, we have critical infrastructure that is not being secured by our government. Fertilizer, food, petroleum. We have an open border. You know, I didn't see our Congress sending emergency money to our southern border where we have a national security threat. We need to take, you know, America can be strong for the world only if we are first strong domestically. And that has to be our first priority.
But do you think Russia presents a threat to democracy if it succeeds in Ukraine and perhaps has other ambitions beyond that?
I do not believe that right now our national security threat is the border of Russia. I believe that our national security threat is our own southern border, where there is an invasion of criminals, traffickers, drug cartel coming through our border, and our proper immigration protocol is not being honored. Our patrollers are not being supported. We need to stop the influx of, you know, over 2 million illegal immigrants from coming through our country unvetted and then making every single state a border state. And we see it right here in Maine. You know, Portland is suffering because our taxpayers can't afford this influx in new people. And my heart goes out to people. You know, everyone wants to have a home and be safe, but there is a proper procedure, and we need law and order in our state, in our country, and we need to follow the laws.
It's not just immigration, of course, that's making finding housing, affordable housing, difficult for not just Portland and Southern Maine, but all of Maine. What do you think Congress could do to help alleviate that problem?
Well, that's a good question. It's a complicated question. So, you know, I think that a lot of the issues are here more domestically, and state should be taken care of by the state.
Mm-hmm. Veterans issues are always a major thing in the 2nd District in particular. There's so many veterans that are there. What's your priority when it comes to improving the services they get?
Right. Well, it breaks my heart that there are so many homeless veterans. We need to take care of them, and we need to improve the services that they're receiving. So I speak with them, and, you know, there are some great programs that are out there, and veterans are helping veterans. But really, you know, we need to have some task forces in place and to really find out what's working and what's not working, and make it so that we are honoring and taking care of our veterans.
You've said, I think it's mentioned on your website, that you want to support local law enforcement, but with accountability. What does that mean?
Sure. Well, you know, every profession has rogue, you know, players. But we need to restore law and order. I'm a firm believer that we need to restore honor to our law enforcement. We need to make sure that they are properly staffed. We need to protect them. There is no reason why anyone should be assaulting a police officer. We need to call crime crime. We need to stop the rioting in the streets and stop destruction to personal property and just say it's okay. So that comes by restoring honor and making sure that they are properly funded to do the jobs that they need to do. We need them.
The mass shooting in Buffalo this past weekend has been labeled domestic terrorism by the president. Senator Susan Collins, who serves on the Intelligence Committee, says it seems to fit that definition as well. Do you believe that the Congress and the government in general needs to be doing more to root out those who would radicalize and recruit Americans, as may well have happened in this case with white supremacist groups? Do we need to, is there a way we can do more to address that?
From what I have read, this was a mental illness problem. So I think something has to be done with helping our law enforcement or helping school officials who saw the signs of this individual. We need to help with the mental illness issue. So I don't believe that we have a problem with white supremacists just because someone is white.
Do you believe there's voter fraud in this country, and was President Biden legitimately elected?
Yeah, so along with 60% of the American over 60% of the American population, they believe that there was voter fraud to some extent. And I believe that that is not acceptable if we want to have secure elections, if we want to have voter confidence. And, you know, being able to have one vote per person is critical. And if we're going to have Americans be confident in their government, they have to know that their vote, that the election is true.
And do you believe the presidential election was legitimate?
I believe that, you know, the Electoral College, you know, certified it, but I believe that we need to get to the bottom and make sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that the person in office was truly elected.
Well, let's wrap up. If this were a normal Voice of the Voter forum with a candidate, your challenger, face-to-face with you, we give everybody a chance to make a one-minute closing statement, their final pitch. But given these unusual circumstances, let me ask you, what's the primary focus of the campaign as you travel around Maine's 2nd District?
Sure. So there are basically 5 areas that really resonate with the Maine voter. And those 5 areas are that they want to have someone who's going to fight to uphold their Constitution and to stop the assaults on their First and Second Amendment rights. Secondly, they want someone who will stand for medical and educational freedom. And I have had boots on the ground for years fighting for those 2 things. And I believe in parental rights for our students in our schools. Thirdly, I'm an America First candidate. So we need to have secure elections, secure borders, secure infrastructure, energy independence, and a currency and a reduced, obviously, inflation. And I am 100% pro-life, but pro-women. Girls' sports, girls' bathrooms, and the protection of Title IX rights. And lastly, I support our law enforcement and our military. We have to restore honor. When I go to Congress, I will absolutely fight for those things. My opponent won't sit here and fight and talk to me, but when I go down there, will be a voice that is bold and that is strong for the Maine people.
Liz Caruso, thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Maine's primary elections are on June 14th.